When you think of the greatest players that never won the Super Bowl, many names come to mind. Dan Marino spent 17 seasons with the Dolphins and never won one. Randy Moss, one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, went 14 years in the NFL and never got a ring. I just listed probably the greatest quarterback and wide receiver to never win a Super Bowl, but today's video isn't on them. Today's video is on the greatest running back to never win a Super Bowl, and that title goes to Barry Sanders. One of, if not the most elusive and shifty running backs of all time, and in my opinion, the greatest running back to ever play in the NFL. But he also joins the list of players that retired too early, just like another running back. But why did he? Well, I could just give you the reason why he retired so early and end the video here, but that's boring, so how about we have a deeper look on his time growing up, time playing football, and all of his accomplishments along with his time after football. Hey, what's up guys, it's NFL Times coming back at you with another video. I already explained what we will be discussing in this video, so let's not waste any more time and jump right into it. Barry David Sanders was born on July 16, 1968 in Wichita, Kansas as one of 11 children. In his early life, Barry would work alongside his father, who worked as a carpenter. Never complained, just did the work. Barry Sanders attended Wichita North High School, in which his love was for basketball. Yes, basketball, not football, but his dad believed Barry had a better shot at getting a scholarship through football, so he went on to play football. I'm not gonna lie, I just said football way too many times in the past 5 seconds. Ignore my lack of communication, please and thank you. Enjoy the video. Anyways, he started his high school career as a backup, kind of. He started at tailback, also known as running back, in his sophomore year, before getting beat out his junior year as a starter by his own brother. As his senior year was about to start, Barry was moved to wingback. The reason for it is a bit long. First, let me tell y'all what a wingback is, because I'm not sure if all of y'all know what a wingback is. But basically, a wingback lines up next to a tight end and mostly blocks while getting some handoffs or a quick pass. Now, the coach who had him at wingback retired after his senior year and went to athletic director. He hired a new coach and told him not to play him at running back because he was supposedly not tough enough and he would slow the team down if he was a starting running back. I swear, most high school coaches are hot ass. Anyways, although his brother graduated and got a scholarship from Northwestern University, that did not make Barry the starter. Another random dude was, but he was not able to finish the season due to disciplinary reasons. In 7 games as a senior, he rushed for 1,417 yards and averaged 10.2 yards per rush, and had a game where he rushed for 274 yards and 4 touchdowns. His 7-game stretch earned him All-State and honorable mention All-American honors. Although he had a great senior year, he only got offers from a couple of colleges, which he winded up choosing Oklahoma State. Once again, he would start off as a backup, but this time it was to All-American and future Hall of Famer Thurman Thomas, who was entering his junior year. Of course, being a backup, especially to a future Hall of Famer, he was not going to get that many shares of the carries. As a freshman in 1986, he had 74 carries for 325 yards and 2 touchdowns. In 1987, as a sophomore, he took the opening kickoff back for a touchdown and was once again a backup, but had more playing time and had a better season as the year before, going on to rush for 603 yards, 9 touchdowns, while also leading the nation in kickoff returns with an average of 31.6 and had 2 touchdowns as well. In 1988, Thomas would go on to be drafted by the Buffalo Bills in the NFL draft, which would go on to make Barry the starter. And anyone who watches or even knows about college football knows about Barry Sanders' 1988 season. Now listen to this: 2,628 yards, 37 touchdowns with an average of 238.9 yards a game in just 11 games. And that is not all. The NCAA didn't start counting stats from bowl games until 2002, but in the Holiday Bowl, he rushed for 222 yards and a record 5 touchdowns, which would put his 1988 stats at 2,850 rushing yards and 42 rushing touchdowns. Now, combining his return stats and his receiving stats, he totaled up 3,471 all-purpose yards, but NCAA only counts it as 3,249 yards, which is some BS. To put it into perspective, let's take a look at the top 5 rushing leaders for college this year. They all range from 1,400 yards to 1,600 yards. Then there is Barry, basically having 1,000 more yards in second place. Now touchdowns. 5th and 4th had 16 touchdowns, while 3rd had 1 more. Second place had 26 touchdowns, and then Barry had 11 more than second place. Now combining rushing and receiving yards, Barry still had 800 more total yards in second place, and he only had 106 receiving yards. And with that good of a season, of course, awards will come running. He was anonymous All-American, Big 8 Offensive Player of the Year, Maxwell Award winner, and Walter Camp Award winner, and of course, Barry Sanders was named the 1988 Heisman winner by sweeping all 6 voting regions. He actually accepted the Heisman via satellite from Tokyo, where he was, since his team was supposed to play a game there against Texas Tech. Now, up till 1990, the NFL did not let any juniors declare for the draft, and even Barry said he would return for his senior year. But at the time, OSU was under investigation and was found guilty of various infractions, so the school received various penalties starting in 1989. A couple of penalties included no nationally televised games and no bowl games for OSU. Now that those penalties were being enforced, NFL then Commissioner Pete Rozelle let Sanders declare for the draft early. So, Barry Sanders would declare for the 1989 NFL Draft. April 23, 1989. The 1989 NFL Draft is underway. Barry Sanders was drafted 3rd overall by the Detroit Lions in a draft that had 4 Hall of Famers in the first 5 picks. Crazy draft. Now, I'm not sure if y'all know, but the number 20 was a very important number to the Lions franchise before Barry Sanders came along. Lem Barney, a cornerback who played his entire Hall of Fame career with the Lions, wore it, and Billy Sims was next to wear it and was electrifying before he had a career-ending knee injury. So to wear the number 20 with the Lions took some balls to do, but Lions coach Wayne Fontes offered Barry Sanders the number 20, in which he accepted. Now, Barry Sanders actually held out during training camp while negotiating a contract. He would miss the first 2 games due to this and would receive a 5-year, $9.5 million contract. In week 3 of the 1989 season, he played his first ever NFL game against the Chicago Bears. In that same game, he would go on to have his first 100-yard rushing game, along with a touchdown, but would lose 27-47. Barry would go on to miss part of 2 other games due to injury, but would end up with 1,470 rushing yards and 14 touchdowns in his rookie year, setting a Lions franchise record, but he could have had more. With no game left in the 89 season, him and Chiefs running back Christian Okoye were head on for the rushing title that year. With the Chiefs game already done, Barry needed just 10 rushing yards to pass Okoye as the league's leading rusher. As soon as the coaching staff found out about these news, they wanted to ask Barry if he wanted to return to the game to get the rushing title. Now, at that point of the game, they were beating the Falcons 31-10, and there was a lot of time left. But Barry Sanders declined because he wanted his teammates to receive more playing time. Humble AF. He was named the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year and was voted to his first Pro Bowl out of 10 in his career, and his first team All-Pro. Now, although the Lions had Barry Sanders, the Lions are still the Lions. They had 2 losing seasons in Barry's first 2 seasons. But in 1991, I'm going to say something that you may have never heard in your life. The Lions, the ones from Detroit, won their division and won a playoff game. I know, it's absurd stuff. They went 12-4 and won their first playoff game since 1957, beating the Dallas Cowboys 38-6 in the divisional round. That divisional game is also responsible for having one of, if not the greatest, Barry Sanders runs of all time. I think you've seen it before.
Signs like that, I mean, they ought to just, go to their homes and read Sanders books. Still on his feet, and Sanders is gone.
Sadly, they were going to lose the NFC Championship game 41-10 to the Washington Redskins. The Detroit Lions of the 90s were honestly a pretty decent team. I mean, it also helps that their franchise is kind of poverty, and anything above average is good for them. But after their NFC Championship game, the Lions would go on to make the playoffs 3 times over the next 4 years, losing in the wild card each time though. A 28-24 loss in the 93 season, a 16-12 loss in the 94 season, and a 58-37 loss in the 95 season. Barry Sanders would rush for 1,883 yards in the 94 season, his second highest amount of rushing yards in his career. Over his 3-year playoff stretch, Barry rushed for nearly 4,500 yards and 21 touchdowns. After a horrific 1996 season where the Lions would only win 5 games and ended up last in the division, the Lions would fire Fontes and hire Bobby Ross before the 97 season. Just like his 1988 college season, many people and almost every Detroit fan knows Barry Sanders' 1997 season. Barry would become only the 3rd ever running back up to that point to rush for 2,000 yards in a season, 2,053 yards to be exact, along with 11 touchdowns. Barry would rush for 100 yards in an NFL record 14 straight games. He would become the 10th running back in NFL history to win an MVP, in which he also won Offensive Player of the Year. Barry's 2,000 rushing yards would only manage the Lions a wildcard spot. They would go up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but would once again lose in the wild card, only this time with a score of 20-10. Entering the 1998 season, Barry Sanders would have 1,400 yards and 4 touchdowns as the Lions only managed to win 5 games. I wish I could go into more detail about his last season, but to be honest, it was his worst ever season, and this was like the worst Lions team he would ever played on. So it was probably just a very boring and just a basic Lions season, if I'm being honest. So there wasn't really much to talk about. Barry Sanders would shock the sports world, retiring from football at the age of 31. What made his retirement so odd was how close he was to NFL history. He was just 1,457 yards shy from breaking Walter Payton's all-time rushing record, but according to him, he didn't care about the record, quoting, "I never valued it so much that I thought it was worth my dignity or Walter's dignity to pursue it amid so much media and marketing attention." There were multiple reasons for his decision, and we will go over them. Reason 1. Barry believed it was time to retire, saying, "The reason I am retiring is simple. My desire to exit the game is greater than my desire to remain in it. I have searched my heart through and through and feel comfortable with this decision." Reason 2. Sanders would admit later on in life that the Lions' poor rebuilding and poor running of the team was partly responsible for his decision. So just the Lions being the Lions. Reason 3. He just got bored of football, it seemed, quoting, "I was feeling like I've done enough, ready to move on. I was never that guy who was going to stay and play until they had to cart me off the field. Some guys have that level of the game they're going to get every last play. At year 10, I lost that determination to do it every day." Some of his accomplishments include Rookie of the Year, NFL MVP, 4-time league leader in rushing yards, 2-time NFL Offensive Player of the Year, 10-time Pro Bowler, 6 first-team All-Pro, a 4-time second-team All-Pro, and led the league in rushing yards once. Barry Sanders would go on to be a member of the NFL 1990s All-Decade Team and the 100th Anniversary All-Time Team. Barry Sanders was inducted into multiple Hall of Fames: College Football Hall of Fame in 2003, Kansas Sports Hall of Fame in 1998, Michigan Sports Hall of Fame in 2003, but the most important of them all, in 2004, alongside 3 other players, Barry Sanders was inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame, Barry being one of 2 first ballot Hall of Famers in that 2002 class alongside John Elway. Barry Sanders lived a nice quiet life after his retirement, and in 2017 became a team ambassador for the Lions. Matter of fact, Barry Sanders has a son, Barry Sanders Jr., who went to the same college as his father, but then followed in his dad's footsteps and joined the NFL. He took a job at EA Sports once he completed college. I personally never was able to watch Barry Sanders play, and I know highlights don't justify how great an NFL player actually was, but I don't know how such a small running back could not be stopped. This guy was electrifying and made highlight after highlight after highlight. An actual highlight reel. This man was unreal. Now there it is, his early life, football life, and his life after football. In my opinion, the greatest running back of all time, and in my opinion, one of, if not the greatest Lions ever. Sad to see his career go to waste in Detroit, but at this point, it's a trend. But that will be all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and if you didn't, well, thanks for the view. Until next time, take care.